Welcome to Release Your Potential Now with Jane, your weekly dose of energy, wisdom, and healing, where we explore how energy shapes your life and how you can shift it to thrive in every area physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Each week, we'll dive into practical tools, real-world examples, and quantum energy perspectives to help you stay positive, navigate challenges, and reclaim your personal power. Whether you're dealing with stress, seeking balance, or curious about the energetic world around you, this is your space for insight, growth, and transformation.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Release Your Potential Now with Jane. I'm Jane Phillips, and thanks you for joining me today. We're now moving into April, a month of new life, fresh starts, possibility, and growth. The energy of spring is all around us, or at least for most of us, as things are waking up. The earth is softening, trees are budding, and flowers are beginning to bloom. And all of that reminds us of something important. This season is for planting. In March, we talked a lot about clearing space, clearing clutter, clearing distractions, clearing some of the things that may have been holding you back. And that was important. And on the March 31st podcast, I recorded a complete energy clearing for anyone listening. If you weren't able to listen, I recommend you do before heading further into the Aries fire energy, which is the strongest in 6,000 years. You'll need to be clear before working through April's 4 podcasts for better discernment moving forward. After you've cleared the deck, the next question becomes, what do you want to plant this spring that you would love to see taking shape by fall? And that's what today's episode is about. Today we're talking about what do you want to grow this year, and choose goals that matter. This is not about pressuring yourself, and this is not about trying to fix your whole life in 1 month. This is about slowing down long enough to ask yourself a very important question. What actually matters to me now? What would you love to strengthen, improve, create, or experience more of this year? Because whatever you want to harvest later, you need to start planting that seed and tending it now. Spring is the season for choosing. If you had a garden, you probably would not walk outside and throw every kind of seed everywhere, hoping for the best. You would think about it. You would ask, what do I want to grow? What belongs in this space? What do I realistically have time and energy to tend? What would nourish me later? And I think our lives work that way too. We feel stressed or scattered because we're trying to grow too many things at once. We're trying to improve our health, organize the house, earn more money, fix every hardship, fix every relationship, start a new hobby, travel more, declutter everything, sleep better, and maybe reinvent ourselves all at the same time. When we spread our energy in too many directions, we often end up feeling like we're not doing enough anywhere. So today, I want to encourage you to think about just 1 to 3 main goals. You'll have smaller ones for the rest of this year. Just 1 to 3 things that truly matter so that you have the bandwidth to keep your focus on them to be able to see real progress by fall. When you choose what matters most, you are much more likely to follow through. So what do you want to harvest by fall? Imagine yourself in the fall. It's late September, mid-October, and you look back at those 1 to 3 choices you made in April. What in your life has improved because you gave it time, attention, and care? I'd like to discuss something called SMART goals. You may have heard of them, and this for some of you will be a repeat. SMART goals are a structured way to help create goals that are clear and realistic instead of vague or overwhelming. SMART stands for specific, means clear and well-defined, Measurable, something you can track or notice progress on. Achievable, realistic and doable. Relevant, meaningful to your life right now. And time-bound, connected to a time frame. In other words, instead of saying, I want to get healthier, a SMART goal might sound more like, I want to walk for 20 minutes 3 times a week for the next 2 months. Instead of saying, I want to save money, you might want to say, I want to save $500 by the end of September by setting aside a little money each week. I personally track my income and expenses and have a pretty big financial savings goal that seems sort of unrealistic to do in 1 year, but I keep putting it there and I'm getting closer and closer. So think about something that's, even if it feels a little bit stretched, maybe you can stretch a little bit and clearly define it and have a way to track what you're doing. So SMART goals can help make something that feels really big and make it more manageable. Like trying to shift some weight one way or another, up or down, might feel like a big goal. But if you have a goal of a pound a month because you want to gain weight, or maybe 2 pounds a month because you want to lose, the big idea around that, you will have some mini goals, but you can have that as a focus that you track to keep you going. And if your goal is too vague, it can be hard to know where to begin. But if it's clear and realistic and tied to a time frame, it becomes easier to plant the seed intended. So as I go through some of the examples of things that you can focus on for this year, you might think about how to shape your goal in a smart way, something specific enough that you can actually move forward with it. So here are a few things for you to consider, because if it's just find some goals for next fall, that's hard. But if you want to have some examples, that's what I'm trying to give you. So for example, on health and self-care, maybe this is a year you want to feel better in your body. Not perfect, not extreme, just better. So perhaps you want more rest, better sleep, healthier meals. Maybe you want less stress, or more movement, or more time to breathe, more consistency with your self-care. Maybe your seed is as simple as drinking more water. And define what more means: taking a short walk every day, or stretching in the morning, or getting more intentional about how you care for yourself. That's something I'm working on myself this year. So under finances, that's usually on somebody's list. Maybe you want to grow into more financial peace. Not just money, not more money, although that may be that too. But perhaps more order in your financial life, more clarity, more confidence. So for example, you may want to pay down debt and be specific about that, or debt-free, and you can be working toward it with a goal to be debt-free by the fall. But with baby steps, you're going to be further along than if you don't have that. So maybe you want to save money, or maybe you have paperwork that's financial that you need to get caught up on, or make better spending decisions. That's something you can focus on and figure out how that looks and create some steps for that. Or maybe you're looking to increase your income, and that requires you to do some things around that to figure out how to do that. And maybe you just want to pay more attention to your finances. I've got a lot of, I think, Aries energy in me, as well as probably some Virgo that I don't know about. So for me, I use an Excel spreadsheet so that I can track exactly what I owe everywhere and track my income and how much I'm putting into savings. Now, that may not be your thing to play with Excel, but you could do something by hand or figure something out if that resonates with you. But knowing where you are at all times will help. So sometimes the first seed here is not dramatic. It might be just sitting down once a week to look at what is coming in and what is going out. Just pay attention to what's going on. So another idea is if you want some home improvement of some sort, and we're not talking big things necessarily, but is there one room, for example, that you want to refresh? Maybe there's a room that you have in the budget to get some paint, or you might go to a thrift store and just see if you can find another piece of furniture that would work in that room, and maybe it needs a little TLC, but you have the budget and the time to do it, and it would be fun for you to create a nicer space in one of these rooms of your house. So, and maybe you just want to clear out clutter, and that's easy to take care of little steps at a time so that you've cleared out a lot by the time the fall hits. So an example of a seed movement for clearing clutter is so that you don't create more is clearing your desk at the end of each day or finishing what you start each day before going on to the next task. And I have, as I talked in last month's podcast, I have 2 sticky notes that are staring me in the face when I'm at my desk that says finish what you start and first things first. And just about the time I'm going to start something, because we women love to bunny trail. That's kind of how our brains are working. I see those notes and I dry the dishes that I just washed and put everything away so the clutter's gone. So a more peaceful home can create so much more peace in your nervous system, which is going to help you function in your day better. So we're in a starting year. This is a 1 year. If you add 2026, the individual digits, you end up with a 1. And this is a year also that I've, astrology-wise and otherwise, it's a good year for creating more connection. So maybe you want to grow your connection with people. Maybe it's family and friends, or maybe it's something broader than that. But you haven't done it. Life has felt too busy. Maybe you've been isolating, or there's a relationship that you would like to nurture more intentionally. Then these are things to think about. And this could show up easily as making a plan to reach out to friends more often and then figure out what that looks like. Are you going to call a dear friend once a week? Do you have somebody else that you would like to connect to, but less often? So having a little note on your calendar that this is the day you're going to call somebody, or that would be a baby step that you could do every single week. So making a plan or planning lunch with someone special each month that you would like to spend more time with and haven't reached out to, that's another thought. And the whole idea is reaching out, making the effort instead of waiting for someone to contact you. And you can think about how you can create more meaningful time with the people that you love, your family or your friends. And it might be that you're just going to be on the phone, but maybe there's something like a podcast you can watch together. So think about how you can make better connection if it's important to you. Connection does not usually grow by accident. It grows when we tend it. And these are easy things to do if you make time for it ahead of time and it's on your calendar. So think about how you can grow more connection. Something that I've thought about doing that I haven't done yet is just joining some sort of group. It could be a meetup group. It could be a hiking group. I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico. People hike here all the time. So another idea for a goal is to have more fun, joy, and lightness in your life. And this is important. We sometimes get so serious about responsibility and productivity that we forget we also need joy, more fun, more play, and spontaneity. And this is nourishing for us. So maybe your seed, the one step that you want to do is something fun once a week, or making space for what brings you back to yourself. Figure out what that is. You may need space to be by yourself. and you don't have it because you've got so many things you're tending to with family. So how can you make some space each week or each day to get you more centered? Another idea for you to consider is to learn a new skill or stretch into something new. So, is this your year for growth through learning? Perhaps you want to improve a skill you have, or study something spiritual, or become more confident in an area where you're hesitant right now. But you're interested, you're just hesitant. New skills open new doors, and sometimes planting that seeds leads to opportunities you never expected. So as you listen today, I want you to ask yourself, what do you want to grow this year? What would feel meaningful by fall? What part of my life needs more care and attention? Where do I want to see progress, relief, or expansion? And if I could choose 1 to 3 areas to focus on, what would they be? Choose what feels real, choose what feels timely, and choose what actually supports your life. So figuring these things out is kind of tricky, and I know you have a lot of things that you want to accomplish this year. So this is a little bit of a commercial if you need some help. As a medical intuitive and a body code practitioner, I'm certified in both. Sometimes people come to me in a confused state, or they have all these things that are blocking them, but they don't know what's blocking them, and they can't think how to move forward. And a lot of times, just a private session with me will kind of clear the cobwebs out. You might have some things that are blocking you, like a broadcast message is that I can do it alone. And then so nobody offers you help. Um, or I need control is another one. I'm guilty of that one. And if those things can be removed from you so that they're not popping up at the wrong time and creating some problems. So if you'd like to see if I can help you in some way with any of this, you can go to Jane C. Phillips, PHILLIPS.com, and you can book a 20-minute consultation and see if we'd be a fit to work together with anything you're struggling on that has to do with going forward in life. So, what do we want to grow this year? We want to choose goals that matter. So once you've identified 1 to 3 areas you want to put solid focus on, and it's okay if you only have one area, because it might be a big one. So don't be afraid to just do one. Because when I say 1 to 3, everyone's going to assume, I think, that you need to have 3. And that might be too much for what you need to have planted and grown and move forward in the fall. So what seed do you need to plant now? Because wanting something is wonderful, but choosing it means you are willing to begin with small, consistent action, daily, weekly, whatever. It doesn't have to be a big seed. In fact, it's usually not. It might be show up for you like something you're going to do 10 minutes a day. When I'm trying to walk more, I give myself 10 minutes to walk. And where I'm at, I have an area that's open that I can walk and probably go a couple blocks, maybe 3 blocks in 10 minutes. So it doesn't have to be big. In fact, it's not often, but 10 minutes a day, or 1 budget session a week, or 1 drawer that you're going to clear out a week or a day, or 1 walk after dinner. Small things matter, and that is how so much of life changes. Now, another really important piece is you cannot plant the seed and then ignore it. If you choose a goal that matters to you, you have to give it some care. And we're not talking perfection, not perfect care, and not obsessive care. just steady. You tend it. And this may mean checking in with your priorities every week and getting rid of the things that you realize are really not important. And we covered a lot of that last month in March about letting go of things that are no longer important and don't serve you. You can go back to March episodes and look up some of that. But protecting a little time for what matters each day is important. So this is how you can give your goal some care. And notice when you're feeling distracted and maybe step away. Do something like take a walk around the block just to clear your mind and get back. And be honest, if something's not working, it's not working. You're either going to change it or drop it or do something different. So adjust your goal. You can adjust things, but don't give up. If the way you're planting seeds doesn't work for you and it's still an important goal for you, find another way that will work so that you can do something on a regular basis. And remembering why you chose the goal in the first place. That's super important. It's so easy to forget. So if you choose something meaningful this month, it's also you've got to be patient with the timing. So instead, ask, how can I support this? How can I stay connected to this? And what one small action can I repeat? So what happens to me as a self-employed person there, and I'm not always the best at marketing. I'm doing podcasts because I want to help all of you out there. But sometimes there's nothing scheduled that is business related. And I have learned with patience that there are other things that I should do during this waiting time while you're waiting for any evidence that the seed you planted is going to give you a plant, tomato, whatever, right? And so when things aren't going well, what is it in terms of you see no evidence or something's not happening? The patience is really key, but pay attention in those times. What's most important that day that you should work on to clear the clutter to help you move forward? So as we're going through this month, be kind to yourself in this process. You're not behind. You don't need to panic about it. And you do not need to force things, 10 things to help things bloom. When I'm working with individual clients, that's the tendency, is they want a session with me, and sometimes it works that way, to solve the problem immediately. Especially if it's a big deal, they want whatever's going on to be healed by the time the session is over. And my experience as a practitioner, sometimes it takes a couple of days, sometimes it takes a week. I was working on someone's back once, and we did some energy work around it and removed some blocks. And I forgot to tell her what was, the timing because I didn't check it. And it was going to take her 13 days before her back recovered entirely because of what we did. And so she called after day 2 and was kind of, oh, I'm in more discomfort. But I checked and I said, oh, I forgot to tell you it's going to take 13 days. On the 13th day, her back was healed from 2 years of pain. So be patient with yourself and choose what matters in the moment and keep tending with what you wanted. If there's nothing you can think to do for that day around your goal, that's fine. But remember, it's the baby steps that we're going to be taking. And you may be surprised by what can grow over the next few months when your energy is no longer scattered and you're more intentional. And our podcast next week is going to be covering how that works a little bit better. Sometimes the life you want does not need a giant overhaul. Sometimes it needs a clearer focus and more loving follow through. So as we close today, I'd love for you to spend a little time reflecting on these questions. What do you want to grow this year? What would you love to harvest by fall? What's 1 to 3 goals that matter most to me, meaning you right now? And what small seed can I plant this week? And let this be simple, let it be honest, and let it be yours. It's not somebody else's goal, this is yours. And if you're worried about sharing it, don't. Keep it to yourself until it feels safe to share, if at all. So thank you so much for joining me today on Release Your Potential Now with Jane. Next week, we'll continue this conversation as we talk about planting the right seeds and small steps create big change. So, if today helped you get clearer about what matters, next week we'll help you think about the small actions that can begin moving these goals forward and how all that works. So next time, take good care of yourself, stay grounded, and keep tending the life you want to grow. Thank you. I'm Jane Phillips.
You've been listening to Release Your Potential Now with Jane, your weekly dose of energy wisdom and healing. Tune in on Transformation Talk Radio to unlock the power of energy healing and transform your life one insight at a time. Share this episode with a friend who's feeling stuck and might benefit from a little extra support on their journey. Together, we can create a ripple effect of healing and positivity, empowering individuals to live healthier, more joyful lives. Are you ready to gain control of your life and health? Then visit janecphillips.com to book a session, join a workshop, or explore how energy wisdom can help you heal and thrive.